Hey everybody, welcome to the Campfire Show. Today on the Campfire we have Chad Vegas. Hi Chad.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. From Bethel Church in Redding, California, but I also found out that you're originally from Hawaii,
I am, yeah.
which is like my favorite place on the earth. That's such a
Nice.
such a cool place. So here on the show we share stories and wisdom and some advice and some fellowship. And at the end, we'll do some marshmallows, which we'll learn about in a second here. But we start with this goofy thing called show and tell. So where we just ask people to bring something that's weird or goofy or unique or odd or all of the above to share with the audience. So
Gotcha.
what did you bring for your show and tell item today?
I didn't bring much. I just brought basically it's something that's on my desk. It's been a crazy morning, so one of those things. I do have this though. Good old trusty
Yes.
Leatherman.
Hey, that's awesome.
Good old trusty Leatherman. If you don't have one, invest in one.
I've had multiple.
Either a Gerber or a Leatherman, because these will save you in a pinch whatever you're doing.
Those things are awesome. One of my most painful memories is having to give one of those up to the TSA agent on a flight.
It happened to me too. Yes, totally.
Yeah, man, you can't live without Leatherman. So I have today for my show and tell, I have this, which is
nice.
this is like from when I was like 10 years old. I had this on my BMX bike that I used to ride around and get in trouble with. So this is my Indiana Doug license plate. So that's the show and tell. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and maybe your role at church.
Yeah. So, really quick, the Leatherman. I do have a cool story about it. I totally forgot. I just remember that.
Do tell.
And this kind of goes into with my family. My wife is from France. She's from the north of France, 2 hours north of Paris, basically by the Belgian border. And ever since my son's been born, we've been going every year to France to so he can meet my in-laws and he can grow up with them and stuff. And the Leatherman, I was carrying it around in France, not knowing that it is completely illegal.
Yeah.
to carry any type of Leatherman. I was walking around the mall one day and I took out my Leatherman to fix something, and just so happens that the military was coming around the corner. And they stopped me and started talking to me. And I'm still not fluent in French, so I could understand a little bit. But luckily, my wife was there. She's like, "Oh, it's not legal here." I go, "Oh my gosh!" I go, "Sorry, I'm American." So
that's funny.
Wife is from France. I got a beautiful three. He's gonna be 4 years old in November. 3-year-old boy, and we're here up in living it up in Redding, California. So
cool.
Bethel Church here. A lot of people don't know we're a small town. We only got about 100,000 people in town, and about 10% of that of the population attend our church. And so that's crazy to have such a small town and a church that where 10% of the population comes to.
Big influence in the town.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Cool. So the reason that we do this show is pretty simple. It's just to inspire churches. They need to hear from people that are doing things well and accomplishing good things. And so that's why I'm so happy to have you on today. So let's jump in. So you and your church, obviously you've got a big impact on a lot of churches, whether it's music or technology or teaching, all that kind of stuff. And you're part of a big church. You lead a large volunteer group, so you've seen a lot, right? You've seen a lot of, you've seen the good and the bad, the ugly, and probably everything in between. So, what do you think we as the church? What do we not give enough importance to?
I think if you're talking about the church in general, I think it would be given an importance to your production teams. My biggest goal is to not have a wall between the production team and the room. So having a way for your church to honor your production teams as much as they can. I don't personally like the saying that, "Oh yeah, nobody notices me unless something goes wrong." I understand the concept of it and the context of it. But for me, it's like, no, I want to change that paradigm shift. I want to get that change to you're noticed no matter what you do. And I think part of that is educating people with, leadership or church, that, try to, as much as you can, encourage them, acknowledge them, not just when they're doing something wrong or anything that's going wrong, but try to, hey, thanks for the team, thank you for doing this thing, especially now, when you need. For me personally, as a boss over my team, I constantly look for the wins and celebrate that with my team and share that, testimonies from our online audience, testimonies from pastors, to share that with the team and say, hey, listen, this is what's happening. This is the impact you guys are making.
Mhm.
So having that access, or having your, if you're a leader, you're a senior leader, you're a pastor, constantly just give your team appreciation. They work harder than most there.
Mhm.
First one's in, last one's out, right?
Yep. And isn't
So
it isn't it amazing how in this season that we're in now, suddenly everyone knows the value of production,
right,
right?
yes, totally.
If you didn't believe in it before, you became a pretty quick believer, right? Have you guys
Yeah.
seen any of that?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, especially with our school, on the school side, with our school of ministry. We were planning on probably doing like a few things here and there for streaming next year's school season, but having to kind of just like be thrusted into this, season where it's like, okay, now all of our classes have to be online. Like we have
Hmm.
to, how do we shift into this? And the first thing they did was call our department up and say, hey, this is what our plan is, and can you guys do it? And
Yeah.
so it's been an interesting journey for
Yeah.
sure.
So I'll ask you the opposite of the first question, which was, we talked about what do we not give enough importance to, the production department. Is there anything that you think we focus too much on?
Ooh, that's interesting. Um, I think if you're coming from the production standpoint, I think a lot of people try to focus on trying to be either too professional or too excellent, to the point where they're totally negating the fact that you're supposed to be there to worship, right? Like
Yep.
you're here for a reason, Your why is, you're here to worship, and you're here to send the message out
Yep.
of your church. And so to come in and, make room for mistakes, make room, I direct more like I, with my son, like I make room for him to, you know, for lack of a better word, to fail,
Yeah.
he
Failure's a
won't.
great teacher.
Right.
Yep.
And then I build him back up. I don't say, "Oh, that didn't work out. How dare you? What's wrong with you?" Is, no, that didn't work out. Let's try something else. Let's see how it could work out. We can get the end result in multiple different ways, right?
Yep.
And so to not have to basically have your professionalism, your excellence, your spirit of excellence get in the way of your actual worship is my deal. I really want to, like, yes, pursue that, pursue excellence, pursue being the best, pursue being a professional, you know, but at the same time allow, and even for yourself, like allow yourself to make mistakes,
Right.
as even for me as a leader, like I have to realize, like, even though I'm a leader, there's going to be times when I fail my team, and there's going to be, and accept that and own that. And for me, I have an open relationship, I like to say, with my team, an open door where I'm completely honest with them in pretty much almost everything that's happening.
Hmm.
And even like how I'm feeling, like, hey, I'm actually not feeling great today, guys, so this is what I'm processing through. And if I say something that's normally out of my character, then you guys understand this is why.
Hmm.
So that way, it just keeps a team, a cohesive team.
Yeah, it's good leadership. I want to dig deeper on something you said, which I 100,000% agree with. And as we it's this thing of excellence, as we chase excellence, as we're driven for excellence, which there's nothing wrong with it. But if we're consumed by it, we can miss ministry, right? It
Right.
doesn't mean we have to, but when we're chasing that thing harder than anything, we can miss ministry. And one of the stories that I heard about you that I love is a service somewhere where camera operators, just somebody laid down their camera and went to pray for somebody. And to me, that is just so cool that I would be a camera guy, and that's my job, right? My job is to hold this
Right.
camera and get the shot and make it look good. But in the middle of that moment, I see somebody next to me that needs to be prayed for, and I've got the freedom to drop my camera down and pray for that person. I mean, that's incredible. So how have you created that culture where ministry can trump the technology?
Right. Yeah, for me it goes back to worshiping, right? So my main phrase that I like to say a lot is worship first and capture second.
Yep, that's awesome.
Capturing things on camera for my camera operators, that for me that's their weapon of warfare, right? That's how they worship. And my goal is for the people that's in the room, I want them to feel like they're on stage. And for the people that are at home, I want them to feel like they're in the room and get that same experience. For me, in order to do that, my camera operators have to worship first. They have to be there worshiping.
Hmm.
And on that, I give them the freedom to, like, hey, if you see somebody that you feel led to pray for, go ahead and pray for them. And I said that once, and that's when that camera operator, his name is Jared, Jared Richard. He's one of my favorites, and so he started praying for people, and I was like trying to get. I was like, where did camera 7 go? Like, what happened? And during the whole thing, and totally forgot that I said that, and uh, then that picture comes out, and people are like texting me like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing! Your camera operator is praying for people," and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. This is what I wanted." But also keeping up with that same, trying to balance it right with between excellence. So I basically go, "Hey, listen, thank you for doing that. That touched my heart. I love it, and it's great and awesome. But don't ever not give me a shot." And
Yeah.
so what happens now is he'll be praying for somebody, and there are times when I'm like, okay, come into, whichever, either our main wireless cameras are either 7 or 8 or sometimes 2 or 9. So I'll be like, come into 7, and the camera's not focused on anything, and I know he's praying for somebody, and all of a sudden the camera will just pop up, get a quick frame, and just hold there, and while he's praying for somebody, he's getting the shot.
Yeah,
That's which is great.
that's
But
dedication.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, to give them that freedom, it's like, if you guys feel led, I have, for us here, we have the luxury of having multiple cameras. And so it's like, I can get that shot somewhere else,
Yeah.
or I can cut to a different shot. If you feel led to pray for somebody, pray for that person. And it's the same way, like, even if they're feeling like, man, God is really touching me in this song, I totally give them the freedom to, take a few seconds, lift their hands up, worship if they need to,
Mhm.
and really just because that's, for me, that's my end goal for them. It's like, I want them to have an experience with God, an
Mhm.
experience with the Holy Spirit in that moment as they're doing their job.
Yeah. I love that. Love, love, love. Let's talk about you as a director. So, and it's kind of maybe similar to the last topic there, but I was watching one of your videos when you were, calling shots, and I've seen a lot of people call a show, call a service. And the thing that I loved about watching yours was that you weren't just barking commands to them, right? You weren't just saying take, go here, do that. It wasn't task driven. I mean, you're getting the nuts and bolts stuff out there, but what impressed me is like you're pastoring those guys like right in the moment. You're shepherding
Yes.
them, you're encouraging them, you're being their coach and just lifting them up. And that's so cool to watch. Have you always done that, or have you evolved into that? Or tell us about what it's like when you've got your director hat on and you're in the heat of the moment there.
Yeah, for me, going into directing, that was my one of my main goals. I never wanted to, I was in the broadcast world for a while. I've been in the broadcast world for a while, and there's broadcast directors out there that'll just tear you apart if you're not getting the right shot, right?
Yep.
And they'll just yell at you, and even in the church world, there's times when I was on camera and I'd be getting a shot and I hear a simple like, ugh, after they take my shot, or I'm like, or you can tell that they're like, oh, come and go to camera 3, and you can tell
Yeah.
that they didn't like your shot that you took. And that, for me, especially in the church environment, it took me out of worship. And now instead of worshiping, I'm trying to impress my director, right?
Yeah.
So coming into it for me, I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to really just be an encourager, try to keep them on their toes as much as I can, as far as like, man, that's amazing, or yeah, just really like getting them as excited as I am,
Yeah.
so that can convey to the end user.
Yeah.
Okay.
It shows. No, I just want to
Oh,
commend
thank
you
you.
for that. That's just it's so it's just so encouraging to see, you being a coach and a shepherd and a pastor to those guys, and
Oh,
not
thank you.
not just sitting in a leather chair, barking commands to
Yeah.
them. So I've
Yeah.
got to think, if I'm a cameraman downstream of that, to know that you are cheering me on, that's got to make me a better camera guy, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's true. That's my goal, is not to. I don't want to do that. If there's anything that they do that I don't like, I'll say it nice, either in a nicer fashion if it's live, or I'll actually, you know what, this can wait till after. Then
Yeah.
after the service, I'll go, hey, listen, when you did this, I would actually prefer you to actually do it like this, or
Right.
and that's where it gets into like making room for mistakes, like making room for them to fail, and oh, that shot wasn't that great. I still took it, and it didn't look that great on camera. Or it maybe even had look horrible, right?
Right. Right.
But it's like allowing room in that live environment for it to happen, so
Yeah.
that that way nobody actually, um you know your team stays as one cohesive unit, like a family. There's
Hmm.
you know
And you're not going to get chewed out if you make a mistake. And yeah.
right, yeah.
So you're a pro. You've got a well organized team there. You're a well oiled machine, right? But I wonder, is there any time where things don't go as planned? And for me, sometimes we get caught by surprise, right? You ever had this
Yes,
happen?
that's great.
I haven't had that one happen, but I've had some other interesting things
Oh, I've
happen.
had,
So
yes.
yeah, so I wonder if
Either
you have an embarrassing story that you can share and give us assurance that you're not a superhero, that you're just a human like the rest of us.
Oh no, there's been times when there's been a few times actually when I first started out, um at Bethel, when I was started directing. There's a couple of times where I'm directing and I'm still like I was talking about earlier, it's trying to be that encourager and nice guy, but also, at the time I wasn't in charge of the department yet, so I was trying to find my way and find my balance. And as I'm directing, one of the camera ops are like, in the middle of service, oh, I need to go use the restroom. I'm like, you didn't go before? Like this, and he was on the
Yeah,
jib. He was on the jib, and it's like one of our main cameras at the time.
yeah,
And so I'm like, yeah, yeah, go ahead. And he didn't return for the entire service until the offering.
yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, did you have a bad meal before the service, or
Yeah, yeah. That's
yeah,
what I thought. But and then, as far as, for embarrassing stuff for me, it would have been like way back when, though, when I was actually on the drums and I had a bad meal, and I I actually accidentally went number number two. I can't believe I'm saying this. Yeah,
wait,
as
wait,
I
while you're on the drums?
in the middle of the
Oh,
drums, I
this is the
and
greatest. This is the
yeah.
greatest moment
And
ever.
I just thought about this now, because that toilet thing you talk, and I totally just, and I was playing the drums, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, oh no,
It
and
happened.
I had to finish the whole worship set and then run home after that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's astounding. Wow, I was going to share one, but it can't touch that, so I'm not
No,
going to go there.
that's
So,
funny. Yeah.
so what we're in a weird season of church now. What do you miss the most about the way it used to be, and what can't you wait for? If you could wave a magic wand today and we go back to regular church this Sunday, what are you longing for?
Oh, that's funny. I was, actually on a call with, a bunch of friends from different churches around, and yesterday, and we're talking and just hanging out, and I told them, the one thing that I actually miss is actually hearing the crowd in the room worship.
Yep.
Like, for me, it's like when we're directing on Sundays now, it's like, it's great. You can feel the Holy Spirit there. Obviously, God's there. Everything's working. and but not being able to hear the roar of worship
Yep.
within a room of a collective group of people. For
Mhm.
me, that's the probably the most thing that I miss
Yeah.
in this season. It's like, man, I wish we could get that back right away, you know?
Yeah. And I
Um,
think people all over can't wait to get back in their rooms to do that, right?
right.
Congregations everywhere. So that's great. Well, hey man, I want thank you for being willing to talk to us today. I want to raise here my symbolically. I raise my marshmallow to you.
That's great.
I toast you. So yeah, it's been great. And the reason that we do this is just to encourage churches and share some wisdom with them. And if any of you out there know anybody that we should have on the show, let me know. I'd love to talk to them. Hit me up for there. And until we meet again, I want to encourage you with this, that it is better to get wisdom than gold.